Hello everybody and welcome to today's evening stream. So, I spent the past couple of days creating an lip sync for Miku Miku Dance, and I finished it yesterday, so today is the day that I'm gonna start on actually making the motion data in Miku Miku Dance. So I'm just gonna presume nobody knows what this program is, so I'm gonna try to explain things. This is a program in which you can make animations or still images with pre-created 3D models. They're all at a specific file format because that's just how the program was created. So let's just where do I start off? Let's start off with this big white screen right here in the middle, which has these axes and this grid and this little dot in the center and like these thingies there. This is basically where you do practically everything. This is where you'll see your models. You can see how the lighting is because you can set those things. This can also, I'll show later if I've actually have a model loaded in, I can like rotate this, go up and go down, and effectively this grid is the floor. So, and then we have like y-axis, x-axis, and then z-axis, which I normally turn off this grid, but sometimes if I'm a bit confused about things, I will just turn it on again temporarily. You do always have to turn it off before making a render because the program will render like this grid and the axis. It will just render it. So, seeing as I kind of screwed up the view, let's just go to this view thing here. Well, it's very simple. You can click on it, you have a front view, a back view, top view, left view, right view, and then bottom view we also have a track option. This comes into play when you have like a model, then you can just select track the model, or you can even select a specific bone within the model. This might be a good idea to actually load in a model. What you do with model manipulation, just load, and then you just go find your model. It's usually in Miku Miku Dance, everything, you use a file, model, and then you pick out a model. Seeing as I made a project with Margarina Luca, it's gonna be Margarina Luca. And then you just click the model, click open, you get model information, which usually has like credits, copyrights, what you are permitted to do, what you aren't permitted to do. Like, so we've got that, and then if you click OK, after a bit of loading, I now have my 3D model loaded. Now I can also like now camera rotation shows a bit better, like you can just select those. Front view, back view, top view, left view, right view. You can select the track, but I just usually edit things manually. Then over here we have like bone selection. If I click it, I can like select bones, adjust things. And also after every single input you make, if you want to keep it on that frame, you have to press register. Because if I do this, I like rotate it. If I now go to it, don't register it and just go to a different frame, that movement is gone. So you do have to register everything. And that's a rotation. I'll get into like the different types of bones later. Then over here we have the expressions. This is basically what I did yesterday and like the previous streams in a different program. Let's go over, if you click to camera, you can actually do things with the camera. Like, let's see, view angle is at 30. Like, turn the perspective on and off. Sometimes it is really cool, or you can get a really cool effect by just turning the perspective off. And seeing as you can register it, you can just have like a part in like your video which is just no perspective. You can select the view angle. It's not the same as zooming in or out. Like, this actually gives you a warped view of things. Let's put that back to 30. Zooming in and out is done with like this magnifying glass or with the scroll wheel. I always try to point it with the scroll wheel as close as I can, but the magnifying glass is just slightly more, how to say, precise. And over here we have light manipulation. It does exactly what it says, it manipulates the lighting. And I got anything to show? Yeah, so if you turn off red, you get that. You can create some really cool effects with it. Then we have X, Y, and Z, which basically permits you to change which direction the shadow comes from, like the light comes from, which you can also register and just keep track of. Then we have self shadow. You can turn it off, mode 1, mode 2, I have no idea what the difference is, and then you can set it to how much details you want. It's just not something I tend to mess with, because that's the stuff that will crash my computer at some point. You have accessory manipulation, which is for certain things that are X files, they are accessories, and you can load them in here and then just connect them to certain models. You can also load certain effects in, or part of certain effects, certain effect controllers. So that's a thing. Something else I always like to do is go, let's go over these real quick. For instance, you have file. You have new, open, save, save as, render as a video, render as a picture file, load post data. That's something that does need some explaining. That like load post data. You have the option, if you like make a certain post for the character, if that's the only thing you want to save, just save that. You have it for motion data, load wave files, edit. I literally use nothing out of this, I believe. No, I genuinely just don't use any of these settings. I'm certain it can be useful, but I don't use them. View, that's one I do tend to mess about with. For instance, screen size. I have used the program for making little character images to put into PR Pro Studio for so that I had like actual images of certain ones. Camera lightning tracking. That's something I can toggle on and off in a different menu, so I don't bother with it. Display coordinate access, I can just turn on and off with access on the menu itself. Thickness of Edgeline is one I tend to work with, because a lot of characters have edge lines and you can turn those off with this. I especially recommend that when you use shaders on them, or plan to use shaders on, because it just looks better. I can also turn the model into like a wireframe. Like, but also like notice how I did that, like everything got laggy. Yeah, that's because that's a setting my computer doesn't like. My also something, the FPS, I have to set it to 30 because I did some things in face and lips and that only supports 30. Also, I really don't feel like programming 60 frames for each second. Like, this project is gonna be long enough as is. I don't need 60 frames a second. What else do we have? Background. You can load in a background picture or a video file. Screen capture mode is an interesting one. Certain stages, like I can load one in. Wait, like, not working floor, not even at effects. Where was it? Accessory. One of the stages that it comes with is a very good example of this. So this is the default stage the program comes with. It's nothing impressive, but if you go to background and then screen capture mode off and you select it to on, you can now see that big screen turned on. It can actually basically create the effect that there is a camera filming it. I believe version 1 is that it's just, it basically just has a front thing, but I believe if I set it to 2, that it will rotate with it. It's, you have like different versions of it. I have to see. Yeah, you have like different whitenesses, and like 3, I don't know what it's for. I've never got it to work. I think there's some versions of it that work with 3, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm not gonna use this stage. I have a different one in mind, but yeah. So that's what you use background for. Facial expression, that in that case you can just delete a lot of things. Physical mode. Now this is something I do tend to work. I use one thing of this. I don't touch the floor option because that disables having a solid floor, which is great if you want to do like something in outer space or underwater, but otherwise just leave the floor in place. The only setting in this menu I really use is gravity settings. It is normally set to acceleration 9.8. This is just Earth gravity, but for characters with long hair and flowy skirts, I like to set it to 5.0. Just because that just looks better. It gives the skirt a bit of flowiness, the hair a bit of flowiness, and that also means they're less likely to clip into one another. Then over here with the directions, I'm not even certain if this shows up in OBS. Let me check. No, it does not. Like, menus do not show up in OBS. Okay, good to know. But there's also, take it from me that there's also directions for the X, Y, and Z axis in which you can decide which direction the gravity comes from. And then you have the noise option, which basically can create movement. The noise option, for instance, is something you use if you wanna create wind. You can create wind with that. But for now, let's just set gravity to 5 and just close the menu. Motion capture. You have the option to use motion capture with a Xbox 360 Connect. I do not have that set up to this computer, but I do have it set up to my old laptop. It's quite a fun function. It's not that precise. It like roughly tracks the body. Do not expect hand data, do not expect wrist data. It will be glitchy, but your model will be in the right spot. Then you have effect, which is your effect panel. You can add certain effects, like the most famous one is ray shader, I think, to a model, which will just make it look good, or it will just entirely break things. You can add rain and stuff like that. I am gonna add effects to things, but after I've done the entire motion, because they're pretty harsh on the computer, and I don't know how. And my graphics card is a potato with an output board. Like, my computer, like everything else is great, it's just my graphics card does not support HDMI. Just so that everybody has an idea about how old it actually is. But that's what you get if you buy a second-hand, basically office computer. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I tend to have just gravity always enabled. I could turn it off, but let me show you if it's at the no calculation. If I now go to the model, you can now see that I have a lot of extra bones. And that's because normally the physics engine takes care of those. But seeing as I've now disabled the physics engine, that now means that I have to adjust those manually. But if I turn them on, they start behaving. So I don't have to bother if I now, for let's say, where to take a leg. Take a leg and like move it. Like the skirt will actually move alongside with it, while if I turn off this and then move the leg, it's not that great. It will like stick to it a bit, and it's not what it should be. Also, again, far more stuff to think about. Also, like now it's actually loose from it. So yeah, that's what you use that for. I just prefer to have it always on. Okay, so let's now also continue with what I was gonna do, which is actually make a video. I also need to load in a stage. No, a lot of times stages are X-file syncs still, but sometimes they're also PMD or PMX files. So yeah, in this case it's a PMX file. And I've decided to go with this stage. The more observant ones amongst you might have noticed that this is from Cantarella, Grace Edition, but I think it will go well with Paranoia as well. It now all looks a bit dodgy, but let me, like, for shits and giggles, turn a... Oh, that's already getting laggy. I'm not certain if I can make this happen. Like, load in 2 shaders. Where did I put them? I prefer to use greener shader, version 1.12, I believe. That it is. That's Luca's model now having a shader, and then stage. Look at how much better that looks. That already looks so much better. It also makes the entire thing so much more laggy. And I could now like adjust the camera position that like appears as if like both the moons like give off the light. But yeah, let's not do this. Like, it makes things a bit laggy. So I'm gonna remove the effects. Which should be a lot better. Oh, the model. Like the stage can stay put. That like doesn't need any adjustments. If I now go to File and click Load Wave File, then I can now, if things are correctly, load in the wave file of the project I've been working on. Let me go and find it. Is the mix down? And that's the point I realized something very important. I never converted the mix down, which I wanted to use, to a wave format. So I kinda have to do that now first. Oh dear. Let's see. Yeah, you guys are gonna continue seeing MMD. I'm gonna open Audacity real fast. I came prepared today. So I need to do that real quickly. Oopsie. Yeah, I really just didn't do that apparently. It's an MP3. Which Miku Miku Dance only works with only works with wave files, and it And for like video files, it has to be in a AVI file. It just has to be, otherwise it just doesn't function. It's just not always the greatest. But what do I expect? It's a free webbook. It's for free. You can do things with it, and if you like look it up, people can do some really cool stuff with it. Here we go. And normally that causes the wave file to actually appear in there, but I can't see it, but that doesn't matter. Okay, something else I can now do, if I select facial in this menu, I can go to File, Load Motion Data, find the motion I worked on yesterday, and load that in. Yeah, sure thing, go ahead. Which now means that I have motion data loaded in, which is just the facial files. Oh, and also there's the wave file, it's just very, very softly. But if, let's say, I go to, this point is a good one. And if I then expand it, it shows which ones are active. So blink is active. That's a blink. A blink takes 3 frames apparently. Let's see, do I have one in which I can show? Let's see. This one, I believe this is, yeah, so here we have an A, as you can see. Let me zoom in a bit. She now also has an open mouth. So, yeah, that's how that works. I normally don't really go into that one, but yeah, it's just how that works. I do have to change that frame, just that facial frame, that specific one, that one, and in combination with, I believe there should be an eyebrow, do have to be moved up. They do have to be moved to like, copy, select that one, and then paste over it. Everything's alright. I should now also have, oh no, I first have to click that frame, delete it. That one has to go. Copy that one. And then I should be able to paste it. Yes. That's the thing I still needed to like fix. Same goes for the blank one. Delete it. Copy the old one. Select the 0 and then paste. There we go. That should be the facials and that should just work. It's, I would like to say it's that simple, but it's not that simple a thing to actually do. So what I would like to, something I should do now is set the, no wait, I have to register the frames. That's something you should do. Everything you've done, click register. Like, nothing is worse than working on an animation, wanting to check back, and then discover you spent like the last 50 minutes or so animating shit. And just not having done anything because you forgot to press register. It's the absolute worst. I'm gonna go to camera now, and I am gonna rotate the lighting to come basically from slightly behind her with these moons. Let's see if I can pull that off. And it comes out the rotating stuff like this. Uh, I just kind of play with these. Nope, that just makes it longer. Third one's the charm. Does that look about right? I can make that a bit longer because it's quite... From there, then I should have... Yeah, that shading makes about sense. Okay, press register. Oh no, I accidentally pressed reset. Okay, great. Yeah. That's also something. Don't be a knobhead. Actually press register and not press the first thing that says R. Register. Now it should be there. Like, I might also be a bit of an idiot sometimes. So, yeah, that's a thing. If you go to model, unless you turn on camera light tracking, which is this button, it won't show. But that's because it's, I don't know why, it might actually just be easier on your computer or something. I don't know. So I've done my lighting. I've loaded in my models. I might have to change that stage at some point, but I don't know. It was like the best one I could find. I've loaded in my audio, and then what I'd like to do is go from big motions to small ones. So the first thing I like to determine is just a starting position. That's something you have to decide, not like... It doesn't necessarily have to be smack dead center in the stage. I was thinking of like starting her off like near one of the pillars, and then basically just determining how she's gonna move about and just make those motions and the rotations, because she should have one of these bones. That's a, I believe it's called a groove bone or a model bone, and as you can see, I can move the entire model with it. It's not the only bone like that she has. Like, I just pressed reset. Why isn't she resetting? Oh, there she is. There are more of those like that. For instance, you also have a center bone, which is just that grouping, and then you can like be a bit more specific. For instance, the center bone, if I start moving that around, like her legs will stay behind, but for instance, you need it for bending. So yeah, but the multiple options, I believe the top one should be the motor bone. It's... Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm pressing register, not reset. No, doesn't matter. I can just overload it anyway. But yeah, that's that one. So let's go to top view. Let's see how far I can zoom out before like the roof starts becoming an issue. And let's find her a spot to start off with. Do I want her starting off with like the moon behind her or not? I think I'm gonna move her to that pillar. So this is the point I'm gonna like... I am gonna turn on the axes again, and I'm gonna use these, which are like these slider thingamajiggies, and like over here, because you can make some pretty precise movements with those. It also helps that it's just genuinely a bit more, in my opinion, a bit more precise. I am gonna have to rotate her on... There we go. And the great thing about this is I can now, if I want to like move her across axis, it will like tell me how the axes are compared to her body. So that's a bit easier. So I can just do some movement and a bit of moving around. I do believe I'm now rotating on not necessarily the center. Oh no, that's the wrong rotation. Control Z also still works. Like, you mess up, just use Control Z. And I think I'd like it to start out there. Let me have a little look at that from the top. Let's see if I like... Oh wait, I can't do that really well. I should go this way. That's... No, I can't turn off the stage. I wanted to like turn the stage invisible, but it's not a stage that's in parts. It's one full stage, so it just kinda... If I turn it off, like everything is gone, including the pillar I'm trying to position her against. Let's see, that's okay, that's okay. I think I can move her a bit closer. I should probably pull a hair out of the pillar. That looks about good. So now I have to determine how long would I like to have her next to this pillar. I mean, that's an important decision, but let's just click register a couple of times. Let's now go to the camera because, as you can see, Luca isn't in vision anymore. So I actually have to rotate the camera. I like move it about. And just have a general idea about where I would like it. I think about here. Let's click register. One of the things I can, for instance, do is you can, for instance, zoom in and out. So if like the next shot it's closer by, then it will like zoom in and zoom out, and I don't have to do this manually. I can just make a second frame at a different point that's closer by, and then it will just automatically pan and like zoom in and out camera, so that's nice. I don't think I'm gonna get that much done. I think this is gonna turn into me like trying to teach people MMD. Doesn't matter. Works for me too. And then, as you can see, when I switch back the model, because I have tracking on, it also kept the model in focus, which is always good. I believe I can scroll through frames. Yes, you can scroll through frames one frame at a time with the arrow keys. Not certain if you can do it faster, but basically, if you every single time you hit 30 or a multiplication of 30, that's 1 second. Like this is 1 second. Let's see. Where does actually things start? I could just select to play from frame 1 and just play and just see where things start. Yeah, that's something I kinda have to guess. Oh, that's something I completely forgot what kind of a pain in the ass it is. You have to guess where shit starts sometimes. Sometimes you just have to guess things. Which is not my favorite type of process. That's not good. Let's see. If we start at 255, what do we get? Okay, it's like that. Let's just... I think I'm just gonna find the first facial file. It's not the greatest option, but I just see where she actually starts singing. I need to turn on camera tracking for that and just like make like a slow zoom for that part. So this is one of those interesting things. Finding where actually... Oh. Which one is it? It's always so exciting in a program when you actually find it. Yay! I found it! Like, first bit of movement in the let's see, in the actual like lip data is at frame. I scroll too far. 825. Let's just go back there. Yeah, we have our first bit of actual movement. So what I can do now is go to the camera and just make a very... Yeah, sure, why not make a very slow zoom from frame 0 to just that frame. It's like... It might actually be one of the slowest zooms ever. 825. Oh, I should probably put this down in Notepad. Also, don't be ashamed to like write to like a list of frame numbers and like Notepad or something. You're gonna lose which ones they are anyway at some point. And then go to 825. And then actually have the camera be zoomed in all the way. And perhaps a bit moved up. Yeah, why not? That should do perfectly fine. I also recommend when you like view back things to actually like make sure you take it like then it's nice and long. Also, I am gonna not play wave file real quick because it is a copyrighted song, which is normally for Vocaloid covers not that horrible, but I don't feel like getting copyright struck with Twitch, so I'm already surprised that hasn't happened yet with the lip sync, but let's see how that camera moves. It's not that fast, it's not that slow either. Like, I can live with this, especially if she like does some interesting movement in the background. Also, those are some glitchy ass roses. That might be an issue. But I can live with that. Let's go to the model. Let's turn off tracking data and just zoom in. Because we can't, of course, can't have a stand like this. Like, you can't have your Model T posing. Well, you can have your Model T posing, it's just not recommended. So let's just rotate that arm. I'm gonna like fine tune like things anyway. And then if you want to copy this to the other half of the body, you can hit copy and then reverse. And that should do it on both sides. Also, fun things. Blue means those are bones, red means currently selected, green means previously moved. So seeing as it moved both, I now have to click select both and then register them. And then I'm just gonna do a bit of rotating of that. Register, copy, reverse, register. You are gonna register everything every single time. Just, it's like a mantra. Bit of a slouched shoulder. Register, copy, reverse, register. Look, she actually now looks kinda sad and defeated all of a sudden, just because I shifted the arms and the shoulders a bit. Let's see if we can make it a bit worse. That's too much. I still need to do some more to it. Register. Select where's the next bone. Like the first bone I just moved was her neck. So that's one of those. And then let's see. I think it might be a good idea to have her like facing the ground a bit more. So you usually have, for the eyes, you usually have two controls. You have this eyes one up here, which just controls both eyes, and then you have left and right eye. So let's zoom in such a way I can still see that. If I now click rotate, I can just rotate both eyes. So that already looks much better. And seeing as the way how I did it, it's still like that. All frames stay like that until you tell the program you need something else. But yeah, that's it's not much. Also something I need to think about. Do I want the headphones on or off? On, it's part of the design. What more do I have here? What's sleeves? Oh, it's those sleeves. Oh no, those are the... Oh yeah, no, she actually has like those screen thingies. Sometimes the camera is a bit unruly. Just a smidge, but yeah, you can turn those on and off. I did not know that. I can understand why. I can see how they can get a bit in the way sometimes. Also, I can probably put object luminas on those. If my computer has enough RAM, I might put like object luminas on certain things. But yeah, she just needs those things because those are just part of a design. So I'm gonna just put them up and like register them. And those are just gonna stay there, and those are just gonna exist. So I've done that. Let's go select facial. Not facial. Let's just go to. I still know the frame 825. And now, if I skip to certain things, no. Something else I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all and register this all for the simple reason that I would like to make us have some different movements, but you do need to like basically tell the program where to start a movement and where to end the bloody thing. And that's mostly gonna be in the capacity of her just lifting her head. I like let's see what would be a good pace at which to lift her head up again. It's not gonna be 55, is it gonna be 85? That seems like a reasonable time span. The great thing about it is if you want to like correct it, like you do things that you have adjusted, you can just select them and like reset them back to the original state. Register, register, and now I have to do the eyes again. Where is it? There it is. Rotate. I can probably just reset that one as well. Register. So if I now play from 825 to that one, then we should have movement. I also have to like start figuring out like these interpolation curves. Let's do that now, shall we? Let's put this one there and this one there and see what it does. Like, see what it does. Because I kind of don't have an idea what it does. Like, at all. I should probably look the interpolation curve up. Like, genuinely look it up. I don't know what it does. I also don't know if I can, like, how this works. How about this? I'm gonna leave the little interpolation curve be for the time being. Mostly because I don't know what it does. So I'm gonna leave it be. That might actually be a smart idea. Like, especially in this program, don't fidget about the things you don't know what they're gonna do. You will at some point just mess up your entire project. Like, that's actually a thing that happens. Come to think of it, the program isn't that user friendly actually. The other one though, it is one of the few fan bases that just like has like a program like this. So it's kind of unique it exists. I have to admit though, it's also been a very long time since the last time I actually did something more complicated with it than loading in a model, loading in a stage, and loading in a pre-made motion data. Like, the things I've made with this that were original motion data were so old I have unlisted them on my channel. So I need to get into it as well again. It's not that easy actually. Like, it just genuinely just isn't. It's a bit of a problem. I like the most impressive things that are made with this, like especially when it comes down to the motion data, those are all motion captures or motion traces. I'm trying to freehand this. Like, if you can, if you can just hook up your Kinect to it and get it to work, I recommend that. If you cannot, at least film yourself and make a motion trace. Like, freehanding this program is insanely difficult. Seeing as I only have a couple of minutes left, I can just as well work on one of those things that people tend to forget are the hands. You actually... Who stands like that with like really stiff fingers? Like the thumb I can accept, but like everything else needs it needs adjusting. Like for hands, like most people will just. I recommend for hands that you just make a couple of like files for them and then just load those in when you need them because those can be a bit of a pain in the ass to work with. I just give them like as gentle, like somewhat curved look. I'm also just automatically like copying everything to like the other end. With the copy reverse like register option. Let's just go over these and like which one I can find first because yeah, that's a ring finger. I can see what I'm starting to remember now why it is that when you like want an actual animation like specifically done for you, how those things can cost you a couple of £100, if not more. Oh, wrong finger. I'd like the different one. Wait, which finger am I moving now? It's also something. I did turn. That's my own fault. I shouldn't have turned off Edgeline thickness yet. That's much better to see. No, no wait. Reset register. I did need the other one. That's also something that you do have an issue with if you turn off the edge lines. If you don't have shaders on them, uh, chances are very likely you can't see what you're doing. So that is a genuine problem. It's just, oh, register, copy, reverse. It's just genuinely just not knowing what you're doing or not seeing it. And do not be afraid to use that copy version, use that copy option. Especially like the copy reverse version thing for like, especially for things like hands. There we go, copy reverse, register. Let me zoom out a bit. There we go, that looks a lot better. A lot less stiff, a lot less unnatural. So that looks a lot better. That's something else we can do. I know another other thing we can do. People rarely stand like this. So that's something I can change as well. Just move it slightly, register, copy, reverse. Too much. Smidge back, register. Or we stand, something else that tends to happen is we tend to stand with one leg in front of the other. So let's just do that a bit. With like one leg slightly in front, one slightly in the back. And let's save it, because let's face it, something's gonna crash otherwise. That's the... Yeah, that's the wrong project file. Let's just save it in like the main folder. And then I'm gonna have to call it quits anyway, because that's gonna be the end of the stream. Seeing as these are only an hour long. And it's already past 10 o'clock anyway. So, thank you all very much for coming. Hope you had fun. This is slightly more interesting than face and lips. Sorry for accidentally turning it into a tutorial and not getting shit done. Also sorry for having to disable voice. Not voice, disable the song, but I don't feel like I'm getting copyright struck on both Twitch and YouTube. So yeah, thank you all very much for coming. Hope you had a good time, and till next time. Bye!